there, everyone! Welcome to my book review for Let the Right One In. Or Let Me In, depending on which edition of the book you have. Two different titles, same book, whatever. It is a Swedish vampire novel by author John Ajvide Lindqvist, and it was one of those that it was on several different lists of top vampire books to read type thing. And, yeah, let's talk about this book and how awesome it is. Right, so let's start with the basics. You have Blackberg, a suburb in Stockholm, Sweden, Stockholm being the capital of Sweden, where the whole plot of the book takes place. It is the 1980s, and you are following more or less three different characters. The book is in a third-person omniscient point of view, from what I gathered. And there's multiple characters that are followed, but there are three characters that are followed the most. You have Oscar, who is a 12-year-old boy who is bullied mercilessly. You have Ellie, who is the vampire of the book, who has the appearance of a 12-year-old, but you're not exactly sure how old they are. And then you have Hakan, who is the keeper or caretaker of Ellie, who is a middle-aged man, and it's his responsibility. He made it his own personal responsibility to acquire blood for Ellie. Now, before I get too deep into this, there's a few things I want to point out. This book does tackle some pretty heavy subjects. Everything from like anxiety to isolation, single parenthood, alcoholism as well. I've mentioned bullying, so there's a lot of that in there. Mutilation, that is definitely not an exhaustive list. There's others as well. And the other thing I'll make note of is that one of the characters in the book is, in fact, a pedophile. Alright, I'm just going to get that out of the way right now. That could be triggering to some people. The character doesn't actually get away with anything, but there is a few close calls, so if that is potentially uncomfortable or triggering for you, then this might not be the book for you. Now, one of the things I noticed about this book right away is that Lindqvist goes through a lot of effort to make Blackberg a very real place. Like, I'm pretty sure it actually is a real place. But he goes through great lengths to make it feel real, and not that it's too much detail. There's just enough detail there for you to be able to picture it a certain way, which works out perfectly, because that, combined with all the different characters you follow over the course of the book, you really feel like you could actually be there. And that is quite awesome. There are major and minor characters that the book follows. Some of them survive the book, some of them do not. Some become vampires later on in the book. Every single character that you follow, major or minor, they all are unique. They are all individual. They didn't feel like rehashes of the same thing. They all had their own personalities. Considering the number of characters you follow, that is quite a feat. That was very, very well done. So, out of all the characters in the book, Oscar is the one that is focused on the most. He is the de facto protagonist of the book. And, oh my gosh, what this kid goes through. You really feel for this kid. Like, he gets bullied really, really badly. Like, so badly that there are a couple of times where the bullies go, like, they stop just shy of actually killing him. I felt for that kid. I really did. It's just, the entire time I'm like, these guys are the worst. And the worst thing is that his parents, especially his mother, who he lives with on a regular basis, because his parents are separated, his mother doesn't actually know this shit is happening to him. And he goes through great lengths to hide it from her. And I understand why. He doesn't want to make his mom worry about him, but these kids are horrible people. Absolutely horrible. And of course, the alcoholism comes into play in a couple of ways. One of them being Oscar's own father, who is an alcoholic, and it's at one point in the book when Oscar's staying with his dad, like he opts to walk home on his own late at night because a friend of his father comes over and they both start drinking, and he just like Oscar just doesn't tolerate that, and he feels very negatively about it. This kid, for the age that he's at and what he goes through, is incredible. And then, of course, there's Ellie, who is the vampire. I'm not going to say too much because it is a spoiler, but Ellie themselves has gone through a lot over the course of their lifetime. And actually, this is a good lead-in into the whole how vampires are handled in this book. Because there are a lot of similarities to your traditional vampire, right? They can only come out at night, fire burns them, they can only be invited in by someone, otherwise it hurts them. They can't come in, or they start bleeding all over and they go in pain and stuff. But how one becomes a vampire is a little bit different than what you normally see. Like, they still have to get bitten first, or scratched first, or whatever. But the actual process of it, there is, for those of you who want a more somewhat realistic take on vampires, there is a little bit of a science-y thing involved in this. There is a little bit of science involved as a way of realistically justifying what could possibly be a cause for vampirism. So if that's up your alley, you will definitely like it. I am not going to go into detail about that because it is partially a spoiler, and the way it was handled in this book I felt was so well done. Like, you really have to read it in order to really get it, and it's one of the highlights of the book for me out of many things. Lindqvist does a good job of humanizing his characters, and it's even the ones that you hate, even the ones that you really, really hate, you do kind of go, oh, okay, I can kind of see where they're going now with this, which, this is more of a character-focused book. There's not a whole lot plot-wise. There is a plot, but it's not one of those, there is one big bad evil and stuff. No. The evil is all over the place. It's different individuals, members of the community. There's different levels of so-called evil in this book, and I love that the author doesn't shy away from that. And that is part of what makes it such a great book, but also part of what could make it hard for some people to get through, because it does expose some of the harsh realities that some people go through. And it's not in graphic detail, but it's just enough for you to get it and for you to see it. Okay, so for anyone who has read manga or other books that are translated from a different language, you know that depending on how good the translator is, it could turn out either really good or really bad, especially in manga. But this is where I really have to give the translator a lot of credit, actually. Who was the translator for this? Ebba Segerberg. Okay, so this person, Ebba, did such an incredible job with translating this book. Like, throughout the course of me reading the book, I had to keep reminding myself this book was not originally published in English. I had to keep reminding myself that because the translation job was so good, so well done. I felt like I was reading a book by an English author. Like, everything felt like it was natural, like it, This is translation done right, folks. This is translation done right, and it could have gone so very wrong, but it went so good, and just, this book would not be the same if it wasn't for that phenomenal translating job. Everything I have stated, and all the stuff I have not stated. There is a lot of things in this book that I probably haven't tackled, haven't remembered to tackle. But that's okay, because in reading the book yourself, you'll figure this stuff out. It is so well done. It is, so far, only my second 5-star book since I started doing this whole booktube thing. And it earns it. It earns it. The character work is phenomenal. You feel like you're actually there. The way vampires are tackled are incredible. The translation job is incredible. Everything about this book is just as close to perfect as you can get. It doesn't feel like there's any flaws in the book to me. It feels perfect, and it earns its 5-star rating from me. And if you haven't read Let the Right One In, I encourage you to do so. If you're someone who is a connoisseur of vampire fiction like myself, you owe it to yourself to read this book and find out for yourself how incredible it actually is. Now, I mean, your opinion may obviously differ from mine, because everyone has their own idea of what's good and what isn't. But I do thoroughly believe that if you like vampire fiction, you should read this book if you haven't already. And I'll make another note here too, that this is probably the only instance I recall hearing where this book has been adapted into a movie 2 times. There was the original Swedish movie adaptation, I think it was in 2008, and then there was an American movie adaptation, which takes the shorter title "Let Me In." That's why this is titled the way it is for the American movie. And the author, believe it or not, Lindqvist actually likes both adaptations. The original one, he says, is a great Swedish movie, and then the American one, he says, is a good American movie. And I don't hear that normally. So it's really good that not only is the book incredible, but apparently the movie adaptations are good too, according to the author himself. So that I think warranted some mentioning. I've never seen the movies myself, and I don't plan to, but I think if you've seen any of the movie adaptations and have not read the book, I encourage you to do so. And with that, I would like to thank you all for watching this video today. I post a new one on Tuesdays and Fridays. Have a good one, and I will talk to you later. Bye!